Hello, everybody, and welcome to ABEM Voices. My name is Dr. Jim Thomas, and I am the current president of ABEM, and I'm pleased today to introduce you to one of our ABEM volunteers and ABEM specialists. We have with us Dr. Denise Whitfield, who currently serves as the Assistant Medical Director for the Los Angeles County EMS Agency. Her previous role of Director of Education and Innovation for LA County EMS as well. She's an emergency medicine faculty at Harbor UCLA and an associate professor of clinical emergency medicine at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. Dr. Whitfield is a former commander in the U.S. Navy, having spent 12 years in active duty with combat deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. She has served as a White House physician during the Obama administration. And additionally, Dr. Whitfield is ABEM certified for over 10 years, and she's subspecialty trained and board certified in emergency medicine services, or EMS. She's been an ABEM volunteer examiner for 5 years and helped develop the opioid and substance use disorder modules for the MyEM Cert. And she is also appointed to the EMS subboard. So Dr. Whitfield, again, thank you for joining us for ABEM Voice today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and tell me a little more in case I missed some things here in your really great CV.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. It's really a pleasure to be here today, and I thank you for having me. I guess I can start with the kind of my pathway to becoming a physician and why emergency medicine for me. I actually grew up a military brat, so my dad being in the Navy was a big influence on me deciding to serve myself. So I grew up in San Diego, and I was really influenced to become a physician with some pipeline programs that I was exposed to during high school. The first in my family to go to college, but there was a lot of military influence in the area where I grew up in. And I think with medicine, I was a STEM-oriented kid in school, and there were some programs with a lot of the biotech there's a biotech, a lot of research in San Diego. And so there were some programs to get me involved with projects during summer times. And so through one of those programs, I was introduced to a mentor who was a pulmonologist actually, but her primary work was doing a lot of cancer research. And so I got to work in her lab one summer, and she was a really big influence, saying that, yeah, I think you have what it takes to become a physician. If it's something that you're interested in, you should go for it. And so when I started undergrad, that was what I decided to do for my major. And that kind of got me on the pathway to becoming a physician.
Why did you choose emergency medicine? What led you down that path? So your mentor was a pulmonologist, so it's interesting
Yeah.
you didn't do the pulmonology route.
No, I didn't. I think my impression of what a physician did, I was influenced by pediatricians that took care of me, actually. That's what I envisioned what doctors did. So I thought that's what I would be when I finished medical school. But as most of us know, medical school can be very exciting. You get exposed to a lot of new opportunities. I jumped from wanting to be a pediatrician to a obstetrics gynecology, and it actually wasn't until my fourth year that I decided on emergency medicine. And it was really just different exposures, getting to rotate through the emergency department. I incidentally decided to do a fourth year rotation kind of late in my fourth year. And it's where I felt like, oh, I think I found my people. And I actually have the Navy to thank for that, because the Navy bought me more time. I didn't have to pick my specialty right away, because I ended up doing a transitional year internship and doing what the military calls a general medical officer tour before I actually had to pick a specialty. So that bought me a little bit more time to explore.
Interesting. I almost had the same story for me as well. I started out all different pathways and ended up looking at emergency medicine as I started fourth year of medical school. So we all think
Mm-hmm.
started different ways, and we end up going down different pathways at the end. I understand you served in the Navy, and it's very impressive, combat duty in Iraq and Afghanistan, also as a White House physician, which I'm intrigued by. Tell me a little bit more about those two roles. I think our listeners might want to hear about that.
Sure. Well, with the deployments, the Iraq I did deployment occurred when I was a flight surgeon. So that was during my general medical officer tour. And that was around 2000. It's so long ago now. I have to think back to the years, but I think it was around 2006 to 2008. And so during that time, there were a lot of operations going on in Iraq. And I was assigned with a C-130 squadron with the Marines. And so they would do a lot of refueling missions, cargo transport, things of that nature. And they had a presence at Al Assad Air Base my entire time working with them. And they would rotate a group out, a detachment, every 6 or 7 months or so. And so I would join them and do medical support for them. Most of that involved doing primary care. We called it the flight line medical aid station. So it was me and a group of other flight surgeons, all internship trained, waiting to go to residency, but taking care of the Marines that were doing flight operations there. After that, I came back and finished my residency. And after residency, I had my job doing my emergency physician work. I was stationed in Guam, actually, but I got tasked to deploy to Afghanistan from there. And so that was 2012 to 2013. And during that time, I'd say most emergency physicians in the military were deploying to Afghanistan around that time. And so I worked in Kandahar Air Base, which was one of the larger medical facilities in that theater of operation, southern part of the country. And we received transfers either from sites where patients were initially stabilized. We called those Role 2 medical facilities, or we received patients from their point of injury. We were what was called a Role 3 facility, which would be the highest echelon of care in that combat theater. So we saw a lot of blast injuries, really any type of injury. In addition, the base was pretty robust at that time. I'd say 65 to 70,000 people working on that base. It was a NATO base, multinational, a lot of contractors as well. So we were the primary emergency department for anything that would happen on that base as well. So a lot of medical cases too.
Wow, pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
What about your role in the Obama White House? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was interesting. So I actually applied for that job when I was in Guam, maybe a month before I got deployed to Afghanistan. And so they called me for an interview from Afghanistan. And so I said, "Hey, can I?" This was before Zoom. I think we had maybe Skype back then. But they said, "Well, if you don't come in person, you won't likely get the job. But if you're interested, figure out a way to get here." So I talked with my bosses, and they arranged a flight for me to leave theater for about 2 weeks from Afghanistan. I interviewed for the job, ended up getting selected. So I think it was maybe a month after being in Afghanistan, kind of a brand new setting. I was going to the White House every day for work. The job was very interesting. There was a lot of travel internationally during the Obama administration. So the role for the White House physician was twofold. There was the clinical piece. So there are clinics at the White House. So we would see everyone there, support the first family for any needs, also support for the vice president and the second family as well. But the larger part, which I found really interesting as well, was medical contingency planning. So with all of the international travel that was going on, there was a physician that would go out and survey the location and put together a comprehensive medical plan for those traveling. And so that was really, really fun and interesting. And I got to travel over. I hit every continent except Antarctica with that job. So it was quite exciting.
How long did you do that for?
For about 3.5 years, a little bit over 3 years.
Cool. Wow, interesting.
Mhm.
Tell me about your ABEM experience. I know you're an ABEM board certified physician and you've been a volunteer for a few years. We said you were an oral board examiner. What's that been like?
That's been really nice. I think it's been a wonderful opportunity just to meet other emergency medicine physicians that have diverse areas of practice during that oral board experience. I think that my motivation to volunteer was just my own experiences, with the oral boards. I just remember, being really nervous to get in there and demonstrate all that I learned in residency. But it was actually a positive experience, and I think that it's really important to uphold that standard of care that we provide as emergency physicians with the board. So assisting with that process has been really nice.
Good, good. And in your opinion, what is the value of being ABEM certified?
Sure. I think that ABEM certification, it's really just a standard that says that one, I'm residency trained, but beyond that, there's been a group of my peers that have evaluated me, one through a written test, but also in a in-person type format where they can validate that I know my material and that I can provide safe, effective care to my patients, everyone that I serve.
What advice would you have for anyone considering ABEM certification or going into emergency medicine?
I think just for anyone going into emergency medicine, I really am glad that I had that fourth year rotation that exposed me. I think it's a very great match for me. There's a lot of work that I can do in addition to clinical work in the emergency department. And so with a lot of my EMS work, it's work outside of the hospital. I can get into some interesting things that I've done in that realm. But for anyone that's looking for a satisfying career in that light, I think that emergency medicine is the way to go. In terms of the board certification piece, I think that it's very important for every emergency physician to complete those standards. It's really demonstrates that we have a standard measurement that says that we're qualified and we're going to provide quality care to all of our patients. So in terms of the process, I think that it's reasonable and something that everyone can get through.
That's great. Dr. Whitfield, thank you so much for spending some time with us today for ABEM Voices. You really have just an outstanding track record of the things you've done. It's an honor to be able to chat with you today. I wish you all the best in the future. I look forward to seeing you as we continue doing our oral board exams and transitioning to our new certifying exam. It's been really an honor and delight to talk with you today. So really have a really great rest of the day. And again, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas.